John was a salesman's delight when it came to any kind of unusual gimmick. His wife, Marsha, had long ago given up trying to get him to change. One day, John came home with another one of his unusual purchases. It was a robot that John claimed was actually a lie detector. It was about 5:30 that afternoon when Tommy, their 11-year-old son, returned home from school. Tommy was over 2 hours late. "Where have you been? Why are you over 2 hours late getting home?" asked John. "Several of us went to the library to work on an extra credit project," said Tommy. The robot then walked around the table and slapped Tommy, knocking him completely out of his chair. "Son," said John, "this robot is a lie detector. Now tell us where you really were after school." "We went to Bobby's house and watched a movie," said Tommy. "What did you watch?" asked Marsha. "The 10 Commandments," answered Tommy. The robot went around to Tommy and once again slapped him, knocking him off his chair. With his lip quivering, Tommy got up, sat down and said, "I am sorry I lied. We really watched a tape called Sex Queen." "I am ashamed of you, son," said John. "When I was your age, I never lied to my parents." The robot then walked around to John and delivered a whack that nearly knocked him out of his chair. Marsha doubled over in laughter, almost in tears, and said, "Boy, did you ever ask for that one? You can't be too mad with Tommy. After all, he is your son." With that, the robot immediately walked around to Marsha and knocked her out of her chair. A Russian and an Irish wrestler were set to square off for the Olympic gold medal. Before the final match, the Irish wrestler's trainer came to him and said, "Now, don't forget all the research we've done on this Russian. He's never lost a match because of this pretzel hold he has. It ties you up in knots. Whatever you do, do not let him get you in that hold. If he does, you're finished." The Irishman nodded in acknowledgement. As the match started, the Irishman and the Russian circled each other several times, looking for an opening. All of a sudden, the Russian lunged forward, grabbing the Irishman and wrapping him up in the dreaded pretzel hold. A sigh of disappointment arose from the crowd, and the trainer buried his face in his hands, for he knew all was lost. He couldn't watch the inevitable happen. Suddenly, there was a long, high-pitched scream. Then a cheer from the crowd, and the trainer raised his eyes just in time to watch the Russian go flying up in the air. His back hit the mat with a thud, and the Irishman collapsed on top of him, making the pin and winning the match. The trainer was astounded. When he finally got his wrestler alone, he asked, "How did you ever get out of that hold? No one has ever done it before." The wrestler answered, "Well, I was ready to give up when he got me in that hold, but at the last moment, I opened my eyes and saw this pair of testicles right in front of my face. I had nothing to lose, so with my last ounce of strength, I stretched out my neck and bit those babies just as hard as I could." The trainer exclaimed, "Oh, so that's what finished him off?" "Not really. You'd be amazed how strong you get when you bite your own balls." A distinguished young woman on a flight from Switzerland asked the priest beside her, "Father, may I ask a favor?" "Of course. What may I do for you?" "Well, I bought an expensive woman's electronic hair dryer for my mother's birthday. The dryer is unopened and well over the customs limits, and I'm afraid they'll confiscate it. Is there any way you could carry it through customs for me? Under your robes, perhaps? I would love to help you, dear, but I must warn you, I will not lie. With your honest face, Father, no one will question you." When they reached the customs area, she let the priest go ahead of her. The official asked, "Father, do you have anything to declare?" "From the top of my head down to my waist, I have nothing to declare." The official thought this answer strange, so asked, "And what do you have to declare, from your waist to the floor?" "I have a marvelous instrument designed to be used on a woman, but which is to date unused." Roaring with laughter, the official said, "Go ahead, Father." A real estate salesman and his new blonde wife flew to the Bahamas for their honeymoon. The groom was in the water snorkeling, while his new bride was sunbathing on the beach. Suddenly a large shark attacked and took a huge chunk out of the man's upper body. While his new wife watched in horror, the man managed to swim to shore. Lifeguards tried to save his life, but unfortunately, he had lost way too much blood. A news crew was dispatched to the scene. The reporter asked one of the lifeguards if the man suffered long, to which he replied, "No, he was only married for about a week." A woman is cooking eggs in the kitchen when her husband comes running in. Immediately, he sees the eggs and gasps in horror. "Be careful! Careful! Put in some more butter! Oh my gosh!" The wife, startled at her husband's violent reaction, dashes to the fridge to get some butter. "You're cooking too many at once! Too many! Turn them now!" The wife, concerned by the status of her husband's mental state, forgets about the butter and goes running to the eggs. "We need butter! Are you crazy? Where are we going to get the butter? They're going to stick! Hurry!" The wife runs to the fridge. "Careful about the eggs! Careful! You never listen to me when you're cooking! Never! Turn them quickly! Oh, not that quickly! Don't you know how to cook? Are you insane? Turn the eggs!" At this point, the wife starts crying, since she has no idea what to do. She gasps, "What is wrong with you? I know how to cook eggs!" The husband simply smiles and replies, "I just wanted to show you what it feels like while I'm driving with you in the car," and leaves. A little old lady was walking down the street dragging 2 large plastic garbage bags behind her. One of the bags was ripped, and every once in a while a $20 bill fell out onto the sidewalk. Noticing this, a policeman stopped her and said, "Ma'am, there are $20 bills falling out of that bag." "Oh, really? Darn it," said the little old lady. "I'd better go back and see if I can find them. Thanks for telling me, officer." "Well, now, not so fast," said the cop. "Where did you get all that money? You didn't steal it, did you?" "Oh, no," said the old lady. "You see, my backyard is right next to a golf course. A lot of golfers come and pee through a knothole in my fence right into my flower garden. It used to really tick me off. Kills the flowers, you know. Then I thought, why not make the best of it? So now I stand behind the fence by the knothole, real quiet with my hedge clippers. Every time some guy sticks his thing through my fence, I surprise him, grab hold of it and say, 'Okay, buddy, give me $20 or off it comes.'" "Well, that seems only fair," said the cop, laughing. "Okay, good luck." "Oh, by the way, what is in the other bag?" the old lady replies sweetly. "Well, some don't pay." 3 convicts were on their way to jail. They were each allowed to take one item to help them occupy their time while incarcerated. On the bus, one turned to another and said, "What did you bring?" The second convict pulled out a box of paints and stated that he intended to use his time painting anything he could. He asked the first, "What did you bring?" The first convict pulled out a deck of cards and grinned and said, "I brought cards. I won't be bored. I can play poker, solitaire, gin, and any number of games." The third convict sat quietly aside, grinning to himself. The other 2 noticed and asked, "Why are you so smug? What did you bring?" The guy pulled out a box of feminine hygiene products, smiled and said, "I brought these." "What can you do with those?" the others asked, perplexed. He grinned and pointed to the box. "Well, according to these, I can go horseback riding, swimming, and roller skating." A married couple got into an accident, and the husband's face was badly burned. The doctor told him that they couldn't graft any skin from his body because he was too skinny, so the wife offered to donate some of her own skin. However, the only skin on her body that the doctor felt was suitable would have to come from her buttocks. The husband and wife agreed that they would tell no one about where the skin came from, and they requested that the doctor also honor their secret. After all, this was a very delicate matter. After the surgery was completed, everyone was astounded at the man's new face. He looked more handsome than he ever had before. All his friends and relatives just went on and on about his youthful beauty. One day he was alone with his wife, and he was overcome with emotion at her sacrifice. He said, "Dear, I just want to thank you for everything you did for me. How can I possibly repay you?" "My darling," she replied, "I get all the thanks I need every time I see your mother kiss you on the cheek."